Now I connected to the Linux machine. First thing, as I already told you, the moment you log in, first it will be displayed when did you last log into the server. So I logged into the server at 2/3. So last login is this month. This is the time when I logged into the server, and then it will display the username @hostname followed by tilde. Tilde means it's a home directory, and if you want to check in which directory you are present, in which folder you are present, we use pwd. Pwd stands for present working directory. So if you look at the present working directory, it is /root. That means the home directory for root user is /root. So whenever you log in as root user, the first it will open a session. This is called as a session, and it will open a session to the Linux, and it will open the terminal in this directory /root, as this is the home directory for the root user. Next, yeah. So if you want to look at how, like whether is this username @hostname or not, so in which format this is present. So actually this is called as PS1. Whatever you're getting displayed, this actual value, it is called as a PS1. It's an environmental variable called as PS1. And if you want to look at the value of PS1, we use echo $. So if you want to get the value of any of the variable in Linux environment, we use this command echo $PS1. So if you look at $PS1 output, it said /user. U stands for user, @h. H stands for host, and W stands for working directory. So in this format, you have your terminal setup. So that is the reason why you're getting username @hostname followed by present working directory. Okay. So echo means if you want to print anything. Say for example, if you want to print Mohan on your display, I'll give it as echo Mohan. So whatever the string you gave here, it will just display the same string into the output. But say for example, if I want to assign a string called as Mohan to one variable. So if you want to assign a variable, or if you want to assign a value to a variable in Unix, we'll use a command export space a equal to Mohan. Now we created a variable called as a, and we assign a value to that variable, and that is called as Mohan. Now if I want to look at what is the value stored in this variable a, I will use echo $a. This will give me Mohan. In the same way, PS1 is one variable, and whenever you install Linux, automatically Linux will create some variables, and it will assign the default values to that variable. So by default, the default value of this variable PS1 is this form, in this format. So that is the reason why you're getting that. And so echo to print any, like if you want to look at the variable, look at the value of any variable, we use echo $space variable name. If I just give echo space a, it will just print as a. But if I want to look at what is the value stored in a, then I have to give $a. Okay. Then if you want to assign a value to a variable, we'll use export space variable name equal to value. Now say for example, your PS1 is not of this format, user @hostname space tilde working directory. If it is of some other format, you can also change the format. So for example, if you're working in a company and that format is changed, and if you want to know as which user you logged into the system, so if it's not of the form username will not be displayed on the prompt side. So you will not get the username here. So if you want to, after some time, if you want to look at as which user you logged into the server, you have to know the command ID. ID will give you as which user you logged into the server. So ID, it says the user ID is 0 and the username is root. So for each and every user in Linux, uh, user will be associated with the ID number that is called as the user ID. So if you look at the user ID, it is 0 and the username is root. Now there is also another command called as who am I, which will give you as which user you logged into the system. So this says you logged into the server as root user, and you logged in at 31st March 4 p.m. and you logged in from the IP address 192.168.1.145. This is the IP address of my Windows machine. So that is the reason why it is showing this IP address. Okay. Next. If you want to see who are the users who logged into the server, finger is a command which will show you all the users who logged into the server. So if you look at this one, the first one, *:0, this means my VMware machine terminal. So this is my VMware machine terminal, and that is the reason why it is showing as *:0. And whenever you connect to the server using PuTTY terminal, it will be either PTS1 or PTS2. Okay, so PTS2 is the terminal. This is our PuTTY terminal. So this PuTTY terminal, it is called as a PTS2. That means this is my session. Rest of the two sessions belongs to this virtual machine. And within this virtual machine, one of the output belongs to this graphical user interface. And the second output belongs to this terminal. So if you look at this one, the PTS1, even this is a terminal. PTS means it's a terminal. So PTS1, it's a terminal, and this is generated from :0.0. That means it is generated from the server where the Linux is present, or where from the server itself. So that is this terminal, which is in white color. And the second one, which is this one, *:0. TTY is *:0. That means it's a graphical user interface, and the graphical user interface is this desktop. Okay, by this way you can see who are the users who logged into the server. Next, if you want to look at the current date of the server or the system, you can just do date. So it is Sunday, 31st March 2012. This will give you the current date. Next, if you want to look at what is the kernel, I mean, like, even Windows will have some subroutines. In the same, Linux will have kernel. That is a basic part of the operating system. So whenever you start the machine, first whatever present in the kernel will be loaded into the memory. Those are the basic subroutines which are required in order to start up the machine. So if you want to look at the kernel machine, and if you want to look at whether it's a 32-bit operating system or a 64-bit operating system, all those details, uname is a command which will show you all the details. Uname space -a. So this will give you what kind of OS you have. So you have Linux operating system. Second, what is the host name? It is test.4techbees.com. Then this is the kernel version 2.6.18. This is a kernel version, and Enterprise Linux 5. So we already know we install Oracle Enterprise Linux 5. So it's Enterprise Linux 5 and the kernel is 2.6.18. And this kernel is created on September 3rd, 2009. And i686 means it's a 32-bit operating system. If it's a 64-bit operating system, it will show as x64. So this is the basic difference. So if you see i686 and i386, it's a 32-bit operating system. If you see x64, then it's a 64-bit operating system. So if you want to know about the server configuration, we use uname space -a. What kind of OS you have and what is the kernel version. Okay, then if you want to see the total memory, which is total RAM, which is allocated for this machine, and what is the usage and what is the free space left in the RAM, free minus H or free minus G. Yeah, so this will give you, I'll do one thing, I'll go for free minus M. Yeah, so free minus M stands for megabytes. Display the output in megabytes. So if you look at the total memory allocated for the system, it is 14, it's close to 1.4 MB. It's close to 1.5 MB. So total memory allocated for the system is 1.5 MB, and out of this one 438 MB is used and 1 GB of memory is still left. Okay, and the swap space which we allocated, if you remember, we allocated 3 GB of swap space and the used is 0. The reason why it is 0, the used, because the total memory utilization itself is not 100%. Swap will be used whenever the memory utilization is 100%. Until then, swap will not be used. So that is the reason why the usage of swap is 0 here. Okay. If you want to see the output in kilobytes, you can also do that using free minus k. This will give you the output in kilobytes. Then, if you want to look at what are the mount points, as I already told you, mount point is similar to the drives in Windows. So if you want to look at the mount points as well as what is the file system for each and every mount point, and also how much is used, how much is available, all this information you'll get it using df minus t. df minus t. Minus t stands for file system type. So if you want to look at the file system too, whether it's a ext3 file system, whether it's a ext2 file system, so if you want to get the output including the file system types, you have to go for minus capital T. Now, so the output of this command shows these are the mount points available, mounted on. So slash is one mount point, slash tmp is another, slash database, slash backup, slash oracle. Okay, so if you look at this one, slash, the used space is the output of this command, it will be in kilobytes. So 1 2 3, if you remove this 3 digits, it will be in megabytes. If you remove the rest of the 3 digits, it will be in gigabytes. So it's close to 2.5 GB. The used space is 2.5 GB and available space is 4 GB. Okay, and the file system type is ext3. And if you look at the file system here, it says slash dev slash sda1 3527. The reason why it says like that is we allocated a disk. That disk is of 30 GB, and when you allocated the 30 GB of this to virtual machine, it created a disk called as slash dev slash sda. From this sda, it created partitions, slash dev slash sda1, slash dev slash sda2, like that. And these partitions are mounted on so and so mount points. So this is the meaning of this output. Any questions? No questions. Yeah, Mohan. Yeah. Cool. So this is the way we'll see the information about what are the mount points available and what is the file system type and what is the usage of each and every mount point. The same thing, if you want to get the output in megabytes, we go for minus m. So this will show the output in megabytes. If you want to go for gigabytes, we use minus h. Minus h stands for gigabytes here. So 6.7 total size, use is 2.5, available is 3.9 GB. But if you look at the output, you'll not get the file system type. If you give minus capital T, then only you'll get the file system types. So gigabytes along with the file system type, you go for -HT. So you can combine the options. You want the output in gigabytes as well as you want to get the file system type, you will combine the options. Okay. Next, to check the present working directory, pwd. Okay, right now I'm in /root. If I want to create another directory or a file, for example, right now I want to create another directory. So to create a directory, we use the command mkdir. So directory is nothing but it's an object which will have files. Two minutes. Yeah. So directory is nothing but it contains files, or it contains files, or it may contain some other directories. So right now I want to create a directory called as Mohan. So to create a directory, we use mkdir, which stands for make directory. Now a directory called as Mohan is created. If you want to look at the directories which are okay, whenever I issue this command mkdir space Mohan, it will create a directory. Where it will create? It will create under this under this folder, under the /root. Another directory called as Mohan will be created. If you don't specify the path with mkdir command, it will create the directory in the present working directory itself. If you want to create the directory in some other location, we go for mkdir /database/Mohan. So this will create a directory under /database folder. If you want to create the directory in the present working directory itself, you'll just specify the directory name. Now, if I want to look at the directories which are present under my present working directory, I will use ls command. ls stands for list. So if you look at this one, these are the following files or subdirectories which are present under /root. One of them is desktop, second is install.log, install.log.syslog, and Mohan and Anaconda. And if you look at the output, there are two colors. For desktop it is in blue, for rest of the files it is in white. So usually it will distinguish, we can distinguish whether the objects present under /root is a file or a directory. So this is in white color, which are files, and the ones which are in blue color are called as directories. That means if you have directories, you can create some more files inside the directory, or you can also create a directory inside the directory. Now there is also another command, like with the ls itself there are several options. One of them is l, -l. L stands for long listing. So if you see here, it will show you whether the objects which are present under /root is a file or a directory. So that can be identified using the first character, or the first character of the output, or the first column of the output. So if you look at this one, the first column of the output is underscore, which means it is a file. When the first column of the output is D, that means it is a directory. So by looking at ls -l, you can distinguish whether it's a file or a directory. So if the first column has D character, then it is a directory. If the first column has underscore character, then it is a file. Clear? And then the second column will show you how many files are present. If it's a directory, we will have several files or subdirectories inside the directory. So it will show you how many number of files are present inside the directory. As this is the file, it will only have one as output. The reason is it is just a file, so it will have just one file. So that is the reason why it shows as 1. But for the directories, if you see for the desktop, it is showing as 3. That means under desktop, you have 3 files. Then install.log, install.log.syslog is just a file. So that is the reason why it's showing the output as 1. For Mohan, it is showing as 2. That means it has 2 files inside the Mohan directory. Why do we have two files inside the Mohan directory? Even though we just created a directory called as Mohan, we haven't specified or we haven't created any files inside the Mohan, right? So why it is showing us two? The first thing is we have to go inside to the Mohan, so we need to change the directory. Right now I'm in /root. I have to go to /root/Mohan. So if you want to go to a different location from the present working directory, we use CD option. CD stands for change directory. So using CD, we'll go from one location to another location. Right now I want to go to /root/Mohan. Okay, now if I issue pwd, it will show me I'm in /root/Mohan. This is my present working directory now. Now if I issue the command ls -l, you should see the total is 0, but still the number of files are displayed as 2. The reason is whenever you create a directory, 2 hidden files will be created. Whenever you create a directory, by default there will be 2 hidden files. One is dot and another is dot dot. If you want to look at those files, we use the option -l-a. Option A will give you the hidden files. So now if you see here, it's not 2 files, it's 2 directories. So there are 2 directories called as dot and dot dot. Okay, that is the reason why in the output of ls-l it showed us 2. Now what do you mean by dot and what do you mean by dot dot? So in Unix or in Linux, dot means current working directory. So that means dot will represent /root/Mohan, because this is my current working directory now. Dot dot means it's a parent directory. That means it is /root. Okay, so it's just a symbolic link. It just gave an alias name for dot. Dot stands for the current working directory. Dot dot stands for /root. These are just an alias name given to the actual directories. Now, right now I'm in /root/Mohan, right? So dot means /root/Mohan. Now I want to go into /root. That means I want to go to parent directory. So to do that, what I have to do? Either I have to go for cd space /root to change my directory from /root/Mohan to /root. Correct? This is one of the option if I want to go to parent directory. The other option is instead of /root, I can also use dot dot. Even this one will make me to go into the parent directory because dot dot stands for /root. It's just an alias name given to the parent directory. Now if I do pwd, it shows me as /root. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, I mean, if I have another folder in Mohan, if I click on double dots, it will go to root or it will come to Mohan.
It will go to Mohan. Just it will go to the parent directory, because if you have another folder inside the Mohan, the parent directory for that folder will be Mohan only.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Now if I want to remove the directory, I've created the directory using mkdir option. Mkdir stands for make directory. Now if I want to remove the directory called as Mohan, I use the option rmdir. RMDR stands for remove directory space Mohan. This will remove the directory. Now if I list the files, I'll not have the folder or directory called as Mohan. Directory is nothing but a folder in Windows. Then if you want to create a file, so to create a file, either we can use touch. Touch is a command to create a file. Touch space file name will create a file. Second option is you can create a file using cat space file name. Even this will create a file. The other option is vi space file name. These are the options available to create a file. Now if I want to create a file called as demo.txt, now I'll have the file. So demo.txt file is created. If you look at the first character, it is underscore, and then this is just one file. After that, if you look at this column, it will show you the size of the file. This will show you the size of the file. So demo.txt doesn't have anything. It doesn't have any characters. So that is the reason why the file size is 0 bytes. If you look at another file called as anaconda-ks.cfg, it is 1.2 KB. The output of this, like the size will be in bytes, so it is close to 1.2 KB. Okay, now I have a file called as demo.txt. In the same way, if I want to create a file using cat, I can do that using cat space demo1.txt. Oh, sorry, cat will not create it. Sorry, cat will not create a file. Just remove it. Cat will not create a file. Sorry. Either you can do that using touch, or you can do that using vi space demo1.txt. So the difference between touch and vi is, using touch you can just create a file. You cannot input some characters, or you cannot write some content into the file. But with the vi editor, the moment you give vi space file name, it will create a file called as demo1.txt. If you look at the bottom of the screen, it will show you the file name, which is open, and it will also show you whether it's a new file or an existing file. So that means whenever you give vi space file name, first it will check for this file name. It will check for the file name called as demo1.txt, whether it is present or not in the present working directory. If it is present, it will open the existing file. If it is not present, it will create a new file. This is the order in which vi works. If the file is already existing, it will just open the file. If not, it will create a new file. So in the output, it shows us a new file. That means a new file with the name demo1.txt is created now. Now, if you want to insert some characters, or if you want to insert some information into this file, first you have to put the editor in insert mode. In the beginning, this will be, little bit of difficult for you guys to use the editor, but once you get used to this, actually it's very easy to use and it's very user friendly. Now if I want to go to insert mode, first the thing is, like, I have to press escape. I'm pressing escape button in my keyboard. Okay, the moment I press escape, after that I have to specify I. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, it says insert. That means my editor is in insert mode, meaning it will accept the input from me. I can insert data into the file. So to go into the insert mode, we have to press escape and then I stands for insert. Now as on the bottom of the screen it shows as insert, I can input the data. So I'll specify Mohan, Ashish. Now I wrote some content into the file, or I wrote some information to the file. Now I have to save this file and exit. So in Notepad or Word you'll do Control S and then Alt F4 to close, to save and exit the file. Here you don't have those options. What you have to do is you again need to press escape and then colon. Look at the bottom of the screen. Now the column has been typed in. After that you have to specify W. W means write the content to the file. What are the content you inserted? Write the content into the file. And then Q. Q means close the file and quit from the editor. So W for save, Q for quit. Now the file has been saved and we exited from the VI editor. Now we have some content in demo1.txt, and in demo.txt we don't have any content. If you want to see the content which is present in the file, we use the option cat. This will show you the content which is present in the file. So if you look at the output of this command, it will show the actual strings which are inserted into the file demo1.txt. So by using cat you can display the content which is present in the file, or else you can also use vi space demo1.txt. So this will open the existing file. So first it will look for whether the file is existing or not. So now the demo1.txt is existing. So it will display the content, and then bottom of the screen if you see here, instead of new file it says 3 lines and 18 characters. So there are 3 lines and total there are 18 characters in this file. So if you want to look at the content of the file as well as if you want to edit the file, you will use VI option. If you just want to see the content in the file, we'll use cat. Cat will just display the content. It will not allow you to edit, but VI will allow you to edit the content. Now I haven't changed anything in this file, and or else if I change anything and if I don't want the changes to be saved, so without saving I want to quit from the file. So for that I use the option escape colon Q. This will not save the content, this will just quit from the file. If you want to save you have to use W. If you don't want to save, don't use W. That's it. Okay, now there is another utility called as grep. Using grep we can search for a string in a file. So say for example, now in demo1.txt I have 3 strings. One is Mohan, second is Siva, and third is Ashish. Now I want to search whether a string called as Siva is present in demo1.txt or not. So for that I will do grep space. You have to specify the string you want to search for. So I want to search for Siva now. Then you have to specify the file name demo1.txt. So search for the string Siva in the file demo1.txt. It will give you the output. If Siva is present, it will give you the output. If the string is not present, it will not give you the output. Say for example, if I go for grep Krishna demo1.txt, it will not show you anything because Krishna string is not present in the file. So if you want to search for a string in the file, you'll go for grep. Okay, now there is another utility or another command called as history. If you want to look at the commands which you typed till now, you can check that using history. History will give you all the commands which you issued against the server. So all these are the commands which I issued against the server now. So yesterday it will give you all the commands which are issued. So if you see here, yesterday to install the VMware tools, I use this command, and also to look at the IP address, I use this command. And then starting from today, I use all these commands: ifconfig, pwd, echo $ps1, all this. So you can also look at the history of the commands which you typed in into the server. If you want to look at the last 3 commands, you can just do history space -3. This will show you the last 3 commands. Okay, looks like it's, yeah. So history space 10. It will give you the last 10 commands which you typed in. Okay. Any questions? Now if you look at the file size of demo1.txt, it will not be 0. It will be 18 characters or 18 bytes. Each character will occupy 1 byte. So as we inserted 18 characters into the file, the size of the file will be 18 bytes. Okay. Now if you want to copy the content of demo1.txt into a different file, you can also do that using cp. cp stands for copy. Now copy demo1.txt to demo2.txt. This will copy the content from demo1.txt to a file called as demo2.txt. First, it will check whether the file is existing in the current working directory or not. If the file is not existing, it will create a new file called as demo2.txt and copy the content whatever is present in the demo1.txt. Now if I do ls -l, there is another file called as demo2.txt with 18 characters. Okay, the same command, if I issue demo1.txt space demo.txt, this will not create a new file because the file is already existing. So it will use the existing file and it will copy the content from demo1.txt to demo.txt. Yeah, so if you see here, it is asking whether you want to overwrite demo.txt. Yes, I want to overwrite the demo.txt. So give Y and press enter. So this has been copied to demo.txt too. Okay, and even the demo.txt size is 18 characters or 18 bytes now. Now the thing is, like, after this one there is another column called as like if you look at the output, it says March 30 11:35. So this is the last time when the file got modified. So if you look at the demo.txt, this file got last modified at March 31 242. If you look at demo1.txt, this file was modified at 235. So this is a timestamp when the file is last modified. Okay, any questions?
No questions, Mohan. Yeah, good.
Next, if you want to rename a file, if you want to rename demo1.txt to a different file name, you can also do that using MV option. MV stands for move. Demo1.txt, I want to rename demo1.txt to demo5.txt. So this will rename the file from demo1 to demo5. There is no demo1 now, the file is demo5. Okay, as it just renamed the file, the last modified timestamp will not be modified because the content is not modified, just the file name is renamed. So that is the reason why still the last modified timestamp will show as 235. Okay, by using MV option we can rename the file. Next, the only thing left in this ls minus l output will be this one. After the first character we have 9 set of columns. There are 9 columns altogether after the first character. First character will represent whether it's a file or a directory. The rest of 9 characters will determine who is the owner of the file, to which group the file belongs to, and sorry, the 9 characters will show you what are the permissions given to the owner of the file, what are the permissions given to group to which the user belongs to, and also what are the permissions given to other users. So the first thing is I show you the command ID to check as which user you logged into the server. So if you look at this output, user ID is 0 and username is root. But each and every user in Unix will belong to a group. He can belong to one group or multiple groups. So say for example, in a company, there can be groups called as dev, there can be group called as DBA, there can be group called as install. So that means the staff who are developing the code will, all the users, say for example, Mohan and Siva developers. Then the moment you join the company on the at the Unix level, you will have two users, Mohan and Siva. System admin will create these two users, Mohan and Siva, and these two users will be present in a group called as dev because they are developers. If Ashish is a DBA, he will be a user will be created and he'll be assigned to the group DBA. And if someone is working on the build team, then he'll be assigning this group. So each and every user may belong to one or two groups. Say for example, if Mohan is a developer and DBA, then he belongs to dev group as well as DBA group. Okay. In the same way, these 9 columns will determine what are the permissions. Next, these 2 columns will determine who is the owner of the file and to which group the file belongs to. So if you look at this output, root is the owner of the file and it belongs to the group root, because if you look at the output of id command, the user is root and root belongs to following groups. One is root, bin, daemon, sys, adm, disk and will. These are the groups to which user root belongs to. Now the first 3 characters or the first 3 columns in this output will show you what are the permissions assigned to owner. So owner of the file is root, and root can read and write. R means read, W means write, and the third character determines whether he can execute the file or not. So for a file you will have 3 options. For a file or directory you will have 3 permissions. One is read, second is write, and third is execute, right? And those 9 columns, out of these 9 columns, first 3 columns will determine the permissions for owner. Second set of 3 columns will determine the permissions for group. Third set of 3 columns will determine the permissions given to other users who does not belongs to either this group or who is not an owner. So if you look at this output, owner has read and write permission. He doesn't have the execute permission. And then the group, the users who are present in root group doesn't have any permissions, read, write, execute, and even others doesn't have any permissions. Clear?
Yeah.
And if you look at demo2.txt or demo.txt, by default the permissions are read, write for the owner who is root. And then the users who belongs to the group root has read permission. In the same way, the users who are not present in the group called as root also has read permissions. So by default, I haven't set any permissions for this file. Demo, demo5, demo2. All has unique values. The reason is there is a variable called as umask. Depending upon umask, the permissions will be set whenever you create a file. So if you see this one, umask has 2 and 2. First 2 stands for group, the second set of 2 stands for others. In this output, the first 2 stands for group and the second set of 2 stands for others. So 2 means read permission. So read that execute, right? So read has value 2, write has value 4, and execute has value 1. Altogether 7. So if you want to give read write execute permission to a user on a file, you have to give the values 7. Read 2, write 4, execute 1. So that is the reason why when you create a file demo2 or demo5, by default read permission is assigned to group as well as others. So umask determines what should be the default permissions for a file whenever you create a file. Now if I want to give execute permission for the owner on demo.txt, right now he has read and write permissions. Owner doesn't have the execute permission. So if you want to give execute permission to for the demo.txt file to the owner of the file, which is root, I can give that using chmod. Using chmod, we will change the permissions of a file. Space 7 to 2. The first 7 is the first 7 or the first digit belongs to the owner of the file. The second digit belongs to group of the file. To group, the third digit will belong to others. So right now I have to give read write execute permission for owner. So owner means first digit. So read write execute altogether it is 7. Its value is 7. And then for group and others, I don't want to change permission. I still want to give them just read permissions. So I'll just go ahead with 2 and 2 space demo5.txt. Now if I issue ls minus l, if you look at the output for demo5, it has the execute permission too for the owner. How come 2? One second, I'm sorry actually.
I think it's 4.
Yeah. Read is 4, write is 2. I'm sorry. Yeah. Read is 2 and write is 4. Read is 4 and write is 2. Altogether it's 7. So let me make the change. Chmod 744. Yeah. So now I have the execute permission for the owner and just read permission for group and others. So this is a way we can change the permissions of the file. Next, there is also another option with ls we usually use frequently, LTR. This it will display the same output similar to ls minus l. The only difference is it will sort the output according to the timestamp when they are modified. R means in a reverse order. That means recently modified file will be displayed at the bottom of the output. If you don't want to go for R, then you'll just give LT. That means the most recently modified file will be on the top. So if I want most recently modified file on the bottom, I go for R. So if you look at 242 demo.txt is the most recently modified file, and that is the reason why it is at the bottom. The same command, if I go for ls minus lt, it will be in the reverse order. Demo.txt will be displayed on the top. Okay. Next, if you want to create a user, we'll use the option user add. User add is a command to create a user. So to create a user, as I already told you, a user must be he must at least he should belong to one group. So I want to create a group first. So to create a group, we use the option or a command called as group add. Group add is a command to create a group. I want to create a group called as dev. Okay. Now a group called as dev is created, and I want to create a user called as Krishna, and I want to add that user to a group called as dev. So to do that, the command will be user add -g dev space Krishna. So a user called as Krishna will be created, and he'll belong to a group called as dev. Okay. Now the user is created. If you want to check whether the user is created or not, we use a command id space Krishna username. So this will show you whether the user is created or not. So if you look at the output, yes, Krishna is created and the user ID is 500 and the group to which he belongs to is dev. In the same way, if I want to check whether the user called as Mohan is existing or not, I'll use id space Mohan. There is Mohan, there is no such user. Now, the moment you create the user, you have to set the password for this user. You cannot log into the server without specifying the password. So you need to set password for this user. In order to set the password, we use the command passwd, which is a shortcut for password, and then we have to give the username to which you have to set the password. So now I'm setting the password for the user Krishna. It will prompt you for the password. So I'll give the password and I'll confirm the password. Okay, it's done now. Now if I want to log in as that user, what I have to do? This is my party session, okay? If you want to create another party session, you need to right click on the top, create duplicate connection. So duplicate session means it will connect to the same server. If you want to connect to a different server, we'll use new session. Right now I want to connect to the same server as a user called as Krishna. So I'll click on duplicate session. So if you see here, both are connecting to the same IP address, which is 192.168.1.107. That means they're connecting to test. Now I want to log in as Krishna. So I'll specify the username Krishna, and it will prompt me for the password. So password, I'll give the password which I set. Okay, now the password is set for the user, and in this session I set the password and I was able to log into the server as Krishna. Now if I issue the finger command, you can see even Krishna is logged into the system from the same IP address, because my Windows IP address is 145. Any questions till now, or everything is clear?
Everything is good, man. Mohan?
Yeah.
అది ఇంతకుముందు అది గ్రీన్ కలర్ ఉండే డెమో, అది ఎందుకు ఒకసారి చెప్పరా? ఇంతకుముందు లిస్ట్ లో
గ్రీన్ కలరా? Yeah.
సెపరేట్ గ్రీన్ ఎందుకు ఉండే?
Yeah. So we gave execute permission for demo file. That means it's an executable file. A file can be text file or an executable file. So differentiate executable and text file. the color changed to green.
Okay, thanks. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Now let me open the file demo.txt and add one more line. Saving the file and quitting it. Now if I want to look at the difference between demo and demo 2, I have one more line added to demo which is not present in demo 2. So if I want to compare both the files, I can do that using diff command. Diff space demo.txt space demo2.txt. So this will show me the difference between these two files. So if you look at the output, it says fourth line has a difference. So the first file has 4 lines, the second file has 3 lines, and the missing line is Krishna. So by using diff, you can compare both the files. Next, say for example, I'm present. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll create a directory again, mkdir space demo, and I want to move all these files. I already showed it to you. Like MV is used to rename the file. In the same way, it is also used to move the files from one location to another location. Right now, I want to move the files demo, demo2, and demo5 to a folder called as demo. So what I have to do, mv space, I have to specify the file names which I want to move. Demo.txt, demo5.txt, space, demo slash. That means copy the files demo, demo5, and demo2 to demo slash. If you look at the demo directory, it is present in slash root. That is the reason why I'm not specifying the whole path. If you want to specify the whole path, you can also do that, slash root slash demo. Either you can go for this or you can go for this one, because demo is already present in slash root and you're already in slash root, so you don't need to specify the whole path. Okay, now the files are moved to demo. I don't have the demo files here now because they are moved to a different location, which is demo. Now I have the files. Now if you look at my present working directory, I'm in slash root and I don't know the exact location of demo2.txt file. I want to know where the demo2.txt file is present in the server or in so and so location. So right now I know there is a file called as demo2.txt under slash root, but I don't know the exact path where it is present. So to check, to search for a file, we use the command find space dot. Dot stands for current directory. So search in the current directory for a file called as demo2.txt. So minus name demo2.txt. So this will search for a file called as demo2.txt in the current working directory, which is slash root. So it will search for all the directories which are present under slash root for the file demo2.txt. And if the file is present, it will show you the path. So it said dot slash demo. That means it is present under slash root slash demo. So if I go to demo, I'll get the file. So this is a way we can find a file. You can search for a file. If you want to search for the entire system, what we have to do, we just need to go to slash, because if you look at the mount points, if you look at the partitions, or if you look at the drives, all are under slash. Slash tmp slash database slash backup slash oracle. All the mount points are under slash. So if you want to search for the file on the entire system, we'll go for find dot space minus name demo.txt. If you look at my present working directory, I'm in slash. I'm not present in slash root. So that means it will search for the entire system. Or else if you want to specify the location, you can also do that. Instead of specifying dot or dot dot, we can specify find slash minus name demo2.txt. So this will search for the file demo2.txt in the entire system. Okay.
Okay.
The next thing is okay. If you want to see which is the shell you're being used. So in Linux there are 4 shells. One is Bourne shell, second is Corn shell, third is C shell, and fourth is Born Against shell, which is called as Bash. And out of these 4 shells, the most widely used shells are Corn shell and Bash shell. These are most widely used. The difference between Corn shell and Bash shell, there are not many differences when you're using it. The only difference you will find is with the Bash you can use backspace. If you want to, I mean, like, if you type in something and if you want to correct it, so we'll just go for backspace to remove the characters which we typed. But in the Corn shell you cannot do it. The default, it's different. And also if you look at, yeah, I'm present in this shell. If you want to go for a previous commands, we can use up arrow. Up arrow will show you the commands which you typed in. History will give you all the commands, but up arrow will show you each and every command. One press of up arrow will show you the previous commands. It goes on like that. For Corn shell, it will not go like that. You have to go for escape and K. You cannot use up arrow to go for a previous commands for Corn shell. And also in the Corn shell, the history size is very less. It can only show you the last 5 typed in commands. Corn shell can only give you the 5 typed in commands. It cannot show you rest of the commands which you typed in. So that is the difference between a Bash shell and a Corn shell. Now if you look at the shell you are using, it's a Bash shell. So that is the reason why I was able to backspace. I was able to backspace, as well as I was able to use up arrow. And also if I press in history, I was able to retrieve all the history. It holds, by default it holds 250 commands, I guess, the Bash shell. But for Corn shell it is just 5. Now echo dollar shell will give you the shell which you are using. If you want to use K shell, you can go ahead and type KSH. Now the shell which you will be using will be K shell. Still it shows. Okay. Actually it's using K shell, because when I typed in the command it says KSH shell not found. So if you see here, the same thing, if I type in shell, it says bash shell command not found. So if you look at here, the bash shell is being used. That is the reason why it showed as bash. But here K shell is being used and it showed as KSH. Now in K shell, as I told you, for example, if I want to list the files, it's ls-ltr, but I cannot use the up arrow. It will give some special characters. So if I want to look for a previous command which I typed in, I have to go for escape K. Okay, it's not okay. Using escape K, we can see the previous commands in the Corn shell. So that those are the difference between a bash and a Corn shell. Any questions?
No questions, Mohan. Just, I mean, once we go through the comments, maybe we'll get that questions.
Yeah. Okay. And
Yeah.
if you look at this one, the moment I logged into the Krishna, my shell is bash shell. The reason for this is whenever you logged into the server, a file called as dot bash underscore profile will be executed. Dot bash underscore profile. So each and every user in his current home directory, like whenever you logged into the server, you'll be present in home directory. Now for Krishna, the home directory is /home/Krishna. Except root, each and every user home directory will be /home followed by username. So if there is a user called as Mohan, his home directory will be /home/Mohan. And inside the home directory, there will be a file called as profile, and that profile will be hidden file. So if you want to look at the hidden file, we go for LA. So dot bash underscore profile is a file which will decide what will be the default shell for a user. VS space dot bash underscore profile. Yeah. Dot bash rc. So bash profile in turn is executing another file called as bash rc. VS space bash rc. You have to go for VS space dot bash rc. And this in turn is executing another file called as bash rc in etc. So we have to display the content of bash rc file which is present in /etc. So I'll go for cat space. I'll get the full path because bash rc is present in /etc. And that too, it's a hidden file. So I have to go for dot bash rc. Maybe no. Okay. Yeah. So by this, it decides to give me bash shell. So it goes for bash shell. I mean, this script will determine what will be my default shell, and even the PS1 I told you. So it's going for username at the hostname because of the script. So by default, whenever you log into the server, a script called as bash profile will be executed, and that bash profile will in turn execute bash rc, and that bash rc will in turn execute a file which is present in /etc. So by executing that file, the default variables are set: PS1, default shell variable, and all those things. And if you want to look at all the variables which are set whenever you log into the server, we'll use a command env. This will show you all the environmental variables. So if you see here, shell is /bin/bash, and the host name is test.4techbiz.com. So whenever you log into the system, it will assign some variables. It will assign some values to variables. So if you want to look at all those environmental variable values, you can look at by issuing env command. Then echo $home. So the home directory for Krishna is /home/Krishna, and even in env output you can see that home equal to /home/Krishna. Okay. Then what else? Yeah. Okay. Now I'm /root. I have a folder called as demo. If you look at the size of a directory, by default it will show you 4096, but that is not the actual size of a directory. So if you want to look at the file size, it is, you can get it from ls-ltr. If you see here, it is 3.6 KB. But for directory size, it's not the way to check the size of a directory. If you want to check the directory size, we go for du space -s demo. Okay, so the size of the file is 16 bytes. Du space -sm demo. You'll get the size in megabytes. It's 1 megabyte. It rounds up actually. It's not 1 megabyte. So by using du, we'll get the size of a directory. And then we already saw if you want to remove a directory, we use rmdir command. But rmdir can be used to remove the directory when it is empty. When it has files, you cannot remove a directory. So the moment I use rmdir space demo, it says directory not empty. So I cannot remove the directory. So if you want to remove a non-empty directory, the command will be rm space minus rf demo. By default, actually, whenever you want to delete a file, we use the command rm. Rm stands for remove. To remove a directory, we use rmdir. But to remove a file, we use the command rm, which is remove. So if you want to remove the files along with the directory, we go for rm minus rf demo. But before doing that, let me go to demo directory. I have 3 files here. So if I want to delete one file, I'll go for rm minus f demo2.txt. F stands for force. If you don't give force, it says it's a regular file. Do you want to delete it? So it will ask you whether you want to really delete it or not. In the same way, you'll get whenever you want to delete a file, you'll get a window, sub window in Windows, saying do you want to really delete a file. In the same way, it will give you a prompt saying do you really want to delete a file. So if you don't want that prompt, you can go for minus F, which will force to delete the file without asking. So now I have 2 files. So rm is used to delete a file, and in the same way rm can also be used to remove a directory with files. So I'll go for rm minus rf demo. Here f means force and r means recursive. So remove the files which are present under demo, and also recursively remove the parent directory. So parent directory for the files will be demo. So just remove them. Now if I look at ls-l, I'll not have demo directory. So this is a way we can remove a non-empty directory. Next, say for example, if I'm creating a file using VAEditor, so vi space test.txt. Okay, I'm creating a file. Whenever I use VAEditor, automatically a process will be created. In a similar way like Windows, like whenever I open a party on Windows Task Manager, I can see a process called as party.exe, correct? In the same way, even in Unix, a process will be created. So if you want to look at the process which are running in the server, you don't have the graphical user interface because I'm using party. So I have to check that using the command ps. ps will give you the processes which are running on the server, and we have to go for minus ef. So this, by using this command, we'll get all the processes which are running on the server. Okay, so all these are the processes which are running on the server, and one of such processes is vi space test.txt. Because I open a text file here, test.txt, I can see that process also. And the first column will be the user who invoked VAEditor. So VAEditor was invoked by root user, so it showed root. Then the second column will be process ID. Whenever a process is started, automatically an ID will be assigned to a process. So this is the process ID. And the third column is parent process ID. Who invoked this command? Which process invoked vi space test.txt? So 14193 is a process which invoked vi space test.txt. And if you look at the previous row, the 14193 belongs to this process, and it is KSH. From KSH only we invoked vi space test.txt. So that is the reason why the parent of this process will be 14193. And then the third column will be, I guess, I'm not sure about the fourth column. Maybe you have to, like Google it and check it out what is the fourth column corresponds to. And then when did this process started? So this process was invoked at 316 from the terminal pts/2, and this will show you from how much time it is being idle or something like that. And this is the actual command which is used to invoke the process. So by this you can check what are the processes which are running on the server, ps-ef. And then if you don't want all the processes which are running on the server, if you're interested in what are the processes which are running from the user Krishna, I can also get processes which are running specific for user. For that, what I have to do is I have to use pipes. So pipe means you can combine two commands in Unix such that output of one command can be given to output of one command can be given as an input to another command using pipe. So what I'm doing here, ps-ef, this will give me some output and it will be displayed on the screen, correct, by default. But if I want to give this output as an input to another command, I'll use pipe, then I'll use grep. Grep will search for a string. It can either be a file or it can also take input from another command. Now I want to just search for the process which are running from Krishna user. So output of this command I am giving as an input to another command. So I'll just get the users or the process which are running from the user Krishna. So we can also use pipe command such that if you want to process the output from one command, you can also use pipe such that you can give the output of one command as an input to another command. Next, if you want to look at the CPU usage, we saw the memory usage by using free command. If you want to look at the CPU usage and also the top processes which are consuming the resources and also the memory usage and SAPS usage altogether, we can use command called as top. Top is a command which will show you the CPU usage, how much CPU is being used, how much is idle, and how much of memory is allocated, how much of memory is free, and all those details. Along with that, it will also show you the top 10 processes which are high consuming processes, high resource consuming processes. Now on the top it will show you the CPUs. So the CPU usage is 0.0. It keeps on varying because depending upon the usage it keeps on varying. Right now the usage is 0%. 1% is used by system. That means operating system is using 1%. Even that will be keep on varying. And this is the ID. ID means it's idle. So 98.7% of CPU is being idle. So if you see here, lot of CPU is idle. So not much of load is running on the server. Then total memory is 1.5 GB approximately, and out of this 842 MB is used and 673 MB is free. And then it will also show you some top resource consuming process. You will not see the difference here, you will see the difference in real time because no one is using lot of resources. So it will show you by process. So this process ID1 is taking so much of CPU and so much of memory. So top is used for this kind of things. To monitor the system usage, you can use top command. And there is also another command. Okay, and whenever you type in top, as it keeps on displaying the output. It keeps on changing and it keeps on displaying the output. If you want to exit from top, we use the option Q. Q will quit the top command. Okay, now I got back my terminal. There's also another command called as vmstat. Even that will show you the same output. vmstat -n5 means for each and every 5 seconds it will get the usage. So this will be the CPU usage. Idle is 91%, idle 100%, idle 100%, and this is the memory usage. 676 MB is being used. or even with vmstart you'll get the information, and 5 means for each and every 5 seconds get the information. And you can also specify how many times you want. So I'll go for 5 and 5. That means display 5 times for each 5 seconds. So after displaying 5 times it will exit. That's it. So using vmstart also we can check the statistics of the server. This will be swap usage, this will be input output, meaning the disk input output operations, and this will be CPU usage, and this will be memory usage. Now till now we use several commands like ls, mkdir, all those things, but from where these executables, I mean, like if you look at the files which are present under Krishna, I don't have anything, but when I typed in ls I was able to list the files which are present in the directory. So how these commands are being executed? So there is a variable called as path, environmental variable called as path in Linux. So using that path, it will check for the executables. So let me first display the value which is present in path variable. Okay. So if you look at the path variable, I have these paths: /user/bin, /user local bin, /user kerberos bin, and /home/krishna/bin. So whenever I type in the command, first Linux will check whether this ls file or ls executable file is present in the following directories. If it is present, it will execute ls command using that executable file. If the file is not present, it says command not found. Okay. Now if I want to check where the executable ls is present, I will use a command which will show me where the file ls is present. So if you look at the ls file is present under /bin. So whenever you type in which space ls, it will check for the executable in the path variable. Okay, so path variable has /bin. So it will search for ls file under /bin. If it is present, it will provide me the output. If it is not present, it will continue to search in the rest of the paths. Even if it is not present in the rest of the paths, it says command not found. So say for example, if I want to check the IP address of this server, I'll use the command ifconfig. Now it says command not found. The reason is, if I do which space ifconfig, it is not able to find ifconfig executable in these directories. But when I go ahead and type the same command as root user, I'm able to execute the command and I was able to get the output. The reason is, if I type in which space ifconfig, it says ifconfig is present in /bin/ifconfig. Now if I display the variable path, there is one difference. For path variable under root user, it has /sbin2. Yeah, if you look at the path variable, it also has /sbin. But the same path variable for Krishna, it doesn't have /sbin, and that is the reason why ifconfig was not able to execute. అర్థమైందండి? So whenever you are issuing any command, it will check for the executable in the following paths depending upon the path variable. If the executable is not present in the following directories, it will say command not found. Now if I want to make ifconfig to work, I have to assign /sbin path also to the path variable. So if I want to do that, I already told you, if I want to assign a variable, if I want to assign a value to a variable, I'll use export. So what I'll do, export equal to, I have to include /sbin. I want ifconfig to work, so I have to include /sbin because ifconfig is present in /sbin. Now export space path equal to /sbin. So if I give like this, only ifconfig will work, because if you look at the ls command is present under /bin. So once I export path to have /sbin, I'll not have /bin value. As a result, my rest of the commands will not work. So if I want to make ifconfig to work, and if I don't want existing commands also to work, then I have to assign or append new value to the existing variable. So if I want to assign new value to the existing variable, I have to issue colon $path. So $path means it will it will take this value /user kerberos bin /user local bin, all those values, and to that path variable it will also assign /sbin. Now if I echo $path, the only difference you can see is even /sbin is included. Now if I do with space ifconfig, it will be able to get the executable file because it is present in path variable. Now I can execute the command ifconfig. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Come on, here.
Okay, then that's it. Done with the Unix commands. Most of the commands I told. Yeah, I guess I covered almost all. But yeah, let me cover some of them. Do you want me to continue or do you want me to end up? Your wish.
Fine. Your wish. Yeah.
Okay, I'll continue then. For maybe 15 more minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So for example, let me open a file. There's already a file called as install.log. I'll open this file. I have so much of input. I have so much of data here. Now let me open the file again. Sorry. Okay. Now if you look at the bottom, it says there are 43 lines and 3671 characters in this file. So on the screen I can see hardly maybe 20 lines or 22 lines. Now if I want to go to the end of the file in VI editor, we have to press escape and then capital G. Capital G will take you to end of the file. So this is the end of the line. This is the end of the file. This is the last line in the file. Escape and then capital G. Now again, if I want to go to beginning of the file, beginning line or the first line in the file, I have to go for escape and then 1. Escape colon 1, enter. This will take me to beginning of the file. Escape colon 1 will take me to the beginning of the file. Escape capital G will take me to end of the file. Okay, and then if you want to set numbers to the lines, if you want to display the content in the file along with the line numbers, you can do that using escape colon set space nu. This will set numbers for each and every line. Now if you see, this is the first line, second line, third line, fourth line, 6, 8, 43. So once you quit from the file, there will be no line numbers. Just to get a better idea on how many lines are there, you can just do that. And then within this first line, now if you see here, the cursor is pointing to the first character. Now if I want to go to end of the line, I have to go for escape $. This will take the cursor from starting character to end of the character. So this will go, or this will move the cursor to end of the line. Escape $. and then say for example wherever there is March 30, and if I want to replace that March 30 with some other string, so wherever there is March 30 I want to replace that with March 31st. So to do that we use the command again, escape colon percentile s. S means substitute slash original string which is March 30 slash the string which you want to replace with March 31, and you want to replace on the in the whole file, so we have to go for G. G stands for global. If you don't specify slash G, it will only replace March 30 to 31st as only for the first occurrence. So it will only replace March 30 to 31st on the first line. For rest of the lines it will be March 30 only. So I want to replace it globally, so that is the reason why I use slash G. So if you see here, wherever there was March 30, it got changed to March 31. Escape colon percentile s slash original word slash new word slash G. So by using that you can substitute. Then within this file, if you want to search for a string, you can close the file and you can grab the file to get a string. But when the file is open, if you want to search for a file, if you want to search for a string which is similar to Control F in Notepad or Word, so you can search for a string using escape colon slash. For example, if I want to search for a string no login, so I have to specify the search string and then enter. So if you see here on this line there is no login, so that is the reason why it highlighted the cursor on this line. And next, if you want to go for a next occurrence of no login, I have to press N. This will take me to the next occurrence of no login. So this will point me to 8th line. Yeah. And again next 10th line. Like this I can go for next occurrence. If I want to copy lines out of 47 lines which are present in this file, I have to copy from first line to 10th line. If I want to copy from first line to 10th line into a separate file, this will be the command escape colon. You have to specify the line numbers which you want to copy. So from first line to 10th line, I want to copy the content. So I want to write the content to a different file. So you have to specify the line numbers, and then W stands for write, and then you have to specify the file name to which you want to write the content. Okay, right now it's not allowing me to create a file, but usually that is a command. Okay. I'll do one thing, escape colon 1 space 1 comma 10 space W test1.log. Okay, now 10 lines were written to test1.log. We'll go and check it out. There is a file called as test1.log and 10 lines are written from that file. Escape colon 1 comma 10 space W space file name. So these are some of the options which are available with VEditor. So once you get used to it, I mean, like, actually you'll like to work with VEditor than Notepad or Word.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's it. I guess I covered everything. So try to download 11g R2 which is in Dropbox.
Okay.
And then once you download the file, open WinSCP. You can download WinSCP, even that is a free software.
I've
And
already downloaded that file.
okay, yeah, okay then. Yeah. So once you invoke WinSCP, it will again it will prompt for the host name. So give the IP address, and then by default it will take port 22. So login as root, password Oracle, login. Click on S. Yeah, WinSCP is used to copy the files from Windows Server to Linux Server. So the moment you log into the WinSCP, you will have two windows. This window will belong to Linux and this window will belong to Windows. So for example, if I want to copy a file, assignment.txt to the Linux machine, I'll just drag and drop it here. It will copy the file. Now I'll also have assignment1.txt here. So using WinSCP, we can copy the files. So download 11g-r2 and you can copy the file from Windows to Linux. Or else, if you're able to access the internet from your Linux machine, I guess you'll be able to access. You can just download it from Dropbox itself if you're able to access internet.
Okay.
Yeah. From the Linux machine itself, you can open the browser. This is a browser. Oops. Yeah, looks like we can download it from Linux itself.
Okay.
Yeah. So download the file and get ready for Oracle installation.
Okay.
Saturday, right? Again?
Yeah.
Okay then. See you on Saturday. Ashish,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll do one thing. I'll create a RAR file for you and I'll upload it to the Dropbox.
Okay.
Yeah. Download it and call me. I'll show you how to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay then. Bye.
Thank you, Mohan. Yeah.
Bye.